Okay, 7th grade Wolves, we are going to start on our workbook next week. This workbook is sort of a reminder of integers and operations. And the first pages involve adding and subtracting positive and negative numbers. I'm going to go through a few approaches and sort of tips of the trade that will help your kids hopefully have that light bulb go off on how to approach these questions. Adding and subtracting positive and negative numbers can be difficult if we struggle to visualize or if our number sense is not our biggest strength. And so starting off the year like this can be a little stressful, which is why I want to give you a lot of tools. This particular first couple pages in this workbook will be done in class, but I may send some home for homework as well. And so I want to make sure you have the tools to support your child. Keep in mind that when we do homework, we are going to have a week-long due date. So it's important for them to start practicing some management of task load. They have 4 classes, right? And 3 teachers who are giving them different assignments at different times. It can be a bit overwhelming. My suggestion, and the other teachers feel like this is a good one too, is to spend 15 minutes every day working on something. If you don't have anything in particular, use that 15 minutes to read or practice flashcards with math. I'm sure you can find something, even looking up news, but get that mindset going. In that 15 minutes, put each subject in a jar and pick one, right? That way you're not favoring your easy one or you're avoiding the tricky one. If you pull out social studies, you spend 15 minutes on social studies that day and you make progress as you go. That way these things don't snowball. None of us are giving too much, but rigor does exist in middle school. Okay, let's talk about how to solve these problems. Okay, so we're starting out with adding and subtracting. We'll get into multiplying and dividing later on. There's 3 things I want to talk to you about that can help sort of have your child approach the problem with intention. The first one is one we've seen often, and it's a number line. So let's say I've got this here, this -2 plus 3. Simply start at the -2. Let's use a different color for that. I'm going to make a mark on my -2, and then we need to go +3, which means we're going to head in this direction. The numbers get more positive as we go right and more negative as we go left. So we need to hop 3 over. We're going to hop 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's going to put us at 1. So -2 plus 3 is 1. We're going to circle our answer so that the teacher can tell where our answer is. Now, another approach when we're dealing with positives and negatives is what I call the elevator. Sometimes putting yourself in the problem can be more relatable, and all I've done is really flip the number line vertical. So I ask the students to picture getting in an elevator at the floor, which in this case is 0. Let me change it to green here. And the first step is to go up 3 floors. 1, ding, 2, ding, 3. I've landed on floor 3. Now somebody gets in and they ask to go to 6 floors down. Ding, 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 ding. We've landed at -3. That is our answer. It's a simple change from the number line to the elevator, but it can help the student really visualize the approach if that's something that works for them. Now this one comes from a pre-algebra point of view, and so this one sometimes is their favorite. Notice these 2 handy-dandy tips right here. If you have a positive or a plus and a subtraction or a negative pushed together, they can combine and simplify into a minus or a negative. Now I say both because going forward, a subtraction or a negative serve really the same value of take away. Same with positive or plus. You might read them differently, but they really serve the same value of we are adding into the system. Same thing for this tip here. We've got 2 minus signs or 2 negatives next to each other, and they become a positive. I've had an example written here for both. So let's take a look at when we have a positive and a negative pushed together. In this case, we have a 4 plus -7. The -7 is in the parentheses just to kind of take ownership of that, but you don't even really need them. Okay, so we're going to take this little tip that we have here, and we're going to turn this into 4. What does a plus and a minus, when they're neighbors, become? A negative or a subtraction. Now, once you've simplified this and you only have one sign, it becomes easier to use the number line or the elevator to help solve. Okay? This one here, 2 negatives or 2 subtraction signs pushed together will simplify into a positive. I have that going on right here. Again, even if the parentheses are there, it's just allowing the one to take ownership of this negative. Don't let that fool you or overwhelm you. I have 2 neighbors here, 2 signs. Those 2 become positive. So now we're really simplifying to -8 plus 1, and you can use your number line or your elevator to help you realize that it is -7. I want to give you one more tip that I had to put on a second page. Using the associative property, or the idea that you can buy an orange and then an apple and it costs $3, or you buy the apple and then the orange and it still costs $3, we can use this to take advantage of and serve purpose in tricky questions. -3 plus 4, we can flip. If this is my apple and this is my orange, I'm simply going to say, okay, let's use orange for this one. Instead, I'll do my orange, then my apple. Now we have a situation where I can take these 2 signs, a positive and a minus. What do those become? A minus. And now we can do that. 4 minus 3 is 1. Okay, just in working through this, I remembered there's another method. If your kid is more of a hands-on one, use some counters. Pick items in your house. I have manipulatives, but pick 2 different items. So for my 7 here in this example, I'm going to use green, and I'm going to put 7 counters on my screen. Now I'm going to, and I'll even highlight so I don't forget. I'm going to use, let's use this pretty blue, for my negatives, 1, 2, 3. Okay? All you have to do when you're using counters is cancel out 1 for 1. I have 1 green and 1 blue. Bam. 1 green and 1 blue. Bam. 1 green and 1 blue. Bam. I have 4 positives left. My answer is 4. That one is a good one. Okay, we're going to be working through these things in class and going slow so that we really master this, because adding and subtracting negatives is not going away. Your students are going to have this come to them next week, and they'll be able to learn all of the methods I just provided to you in more detail with more practice using this workbook. Then we're going to move on to missing things. So thinking about the missing part of an expression or an equation. It's getting into pre-algebra. Okay, good luck. You got this.